Letcher County Sheriff Mickey Steins appeared in Morgan County District Court for a preliminary hearing. This comes one day after he retired from his position as sheriff.
Steins was arraigned last week when he pleaded not guilty to murdering Letcher County District Judge Kevin Mullins.
Kentucky State Police Detective Clayton Stamper took the stand today. He said when he arrived on scene, Steins appeared mostly calm and that they talked a bit, but nothing about why this happened. Steins has been in jail since the September 19th shooting and announced his retirement effective Monday. A video captured inside of the chambers that day was shown in the courtroom for the first time, where it showed Steins shot Mullins several times in the judge's chamber. Stamper testified that 4 witnesses were inside of the next room.
One person stated that she didn't recognize him as being Judge Mullins' voice, but heard somebody say, "Help, help."
Steins' attorney, Jeremy Bartley, asked Clamper if Judge Mullins also had a firearm on his person.
We did not locate one.
So who searched specifically for a firearm?
We all did.
And that was specifically something you looked for?
Yes.
Stamper also testified additional video showed Steins looking at Mullins' phone several times. He said Steins tried to call his daughter and then tried to call his daughter from Mullins' phone as well.
Have you issued a search warrant for him?
Yes.
Okay. And have officers confirmed that the sheriff's daughter's phone number was on Judge Mullins' phone?
Yes.
Both of their phones are at a forensic lab being downloaded.
I was told that the judge made a statement to Mickey about, do we need to meet private in my chambers? That's all I was told.
Do you know the context of what the conversation was before that they would need to discuss in chambers?
I do not.
What's been the reaction to this footage?
The reaction, of course, has really been shock, Marky. So some inside the courthouse even crying as this video was played. Now, prosecutors, they say it clearly shows former Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins shooting the judge, Kevin Mullins, several times as he covers his face and tries to hide under his desk.
Allegedly by his friend, Sheriff Mickey Steins.
It happened late last month, and former Sheriff Steins quit right after his arrest. He's been in jail ever since. According to Steins' attorneys, the two met for lunch near the courthouse that day. In the video not shown in court, Sheriff Steins uses his cell phone to call his daughter, then uses a judge's phone to call his daughter again before the shooting. Investigators are waiting for data from the phones to determine what relevance it has to the case. Investigators are also looking into a sexual harassment lawsuit against the sheriff's office.
Sheriff Steins could face up to 20 years or up to life in prison. Now, this is interesting. According to Kentucky state law, because he's been accused of killing a public official, he could face the death penalty. Now, we also know when he was arrested, he said only this: treat me fair.
The problem is I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
When did you do CPR?
This morning, when I found it.
Before you called?
Yes!
1 o'clock right now.
I tried. I was awake, but I actually got out of the bed at like 12:30ish, whatever. So I came downstairs, and I was like, oh, he's in the suitcase still.
Sarah Boone, the defendant in the suitcase murder trial. Well, she's on her 9th lawyer right now, and so far, so good. But 3 court-appointed attorneys who used to represent her went before a judge to get paid, telling the court what it was like to represent Sarah Boone.
Like previous counsel, spent an inordinate amount of time with Miss Boone. I spent over 20 hours during my period of time that I was representing her. I believe that for multiple reasons, the court can find that this case was extraordinary and unusual, and that it would be confiscatory to not pay me the flat fee.
As one attorney even said he had to put up with Boone's gaslighting. How about that? Now, the judge granted payment of $15,000 for each of those attorneys who had not been paid, of course, plus some other fees. I've long said that all of those attorneys deserve a medal for tolerating her. That's just my opinion. We know that her team is also taking issue with something else, with the interrogation that was done, and it was videotaped. Apparently, they're saying that she was not properly given her warnings pursuant to Miranda versus Arizona.
She was not giving her warnings necessarily on the video itself, but from my investigation, they had been given prior to the actual starting of the camera. Miss Boone's biggest complaint was the publication of that video by the sheriff's department on such things as YouTube, and which has created a very impossible task in picking a jury that would be impartial in a case.
Guys, that's how we are with each other. Like, nobody understands our relationship. The whole suitcase thing never happened before.
We've got a new edition, really at the 11th hour, because trial is about to start in a couple of weeks. James Owens, who now represents Boone in her murder trial, is going to have some help. A notice of appearance, as co-counsel, was filed Tuesday for Tony Henderson, who will now serve as second chair in the case.
You know, he's only got a couple of weeks to prepare for this trial. Doesn't sound like the court's going to delay this any longer, which has been a tactic that she has been using, it seems like, to delay this, is just keep firing and hiring new lawyers to push this trial out farther and farther. So God bless him. He's got a long road here in front of him, and I hope he doesn't become, number 9 or 10 that goes away.
We've got some shocking new information that an ex-cop had a sexual relationship with the woman that his twin brother is accused of murdering. Former Stoughton, Massachusetts police officer Matthew Farwell is already charged with the murder of 23-year-old Sandra Birchmore, who was believed to be pregnant with his child. Federal authorities allege that Farwell strangled and killed Birchmore and then staged her death to appear to be a suicide. Well, now Farwell's twin brother, William Farwell, who also was an officer with the Stoughton Police Department, has been decertified and can never, ever again work in law enforcement.
We're out here today just trying to make the public more aware of what happened to Sandra and keep her name in the public eye. And finally, Matthew Farwell was arrested for her murder, but we still have a long way to go with her case to get other people under lock and key also.
Court documents reveal that he also had a sexual relationship with Birchmore. In fact, listen how disgusting this is. Allegedly having sex with her just days before her murder. Remember, she's pregnant with his brother's child. Just let that sink in for a second.
Farwell is accused of having a sexual relationship with Birchmore from the time she was 15 years old until she was 23, killing her sometime after she told him she was pregnant with his child.
A stunning turn for the Mendez brothers as LA's district attorney announces his office is looking into new evidence that could set the brothers free by Thanksgiving.
For the first time in 30 years, the killer Mendez brothers are telling their story together.
My name is Eric Mendez. My name is Lyle Menendez, calling you from Donovan Correctional Facility.
The Lyle and Eric Menendez story is generating renewed interest in the notorious case. The Mendez brothers killed their parents, Kitty and Jose, with shotgun blasts as they watched TV at their Beverly Hills mansion in 1989. Prosecutors argued the motive was to inherit the family's multi-million-dollar estate. The brothers claim they committed the slayings to stop their father's sexual abuse. Now the question, will this new evidence bolster the brothers' claims? The DA cited a letter that Eric allegedly sent to his cousin in which he complains about being molested by his father. He writes, "It's still happening. It's worse for me now. Every night I stay up thinking he might come in." That letter was written 8 months before the murders. The DA also revealed they have a new declaration by a member of the boy band, Menudo.
One of the members of the Menudo band alleged that he was molested by the father.
Singer Roy Rossello claimed he was raped by Jose Menendez, who was a top music executive in the mid-'80s. During the brothers' first trial, jurors heard their claims of abuse, and the trial ended in a hung jury. In their second trial, the abuse claims were not allowed to be heard, and they were found guilty of murder. The Mendez brothers are now represented by famed lawyer Mark Garagos.
As the prosecutor, I knew it was plain old greed.
Eric and Lyle speaking out to tell their story for the first time in phone interviews from prison.
Lyle was the only person that had ever protected me. What happened that night is very well known, but so much hasn't been told.
They were abused. They were emotionally abused. Jose Menendez emotionally abused everybody. He was just a bully and a control freak.
But the brothers claim there was sexual abuse too. Behind the doors of this Beverly Hills mansion, they say they suffered years of unspeakable abuse.
Did you ask him not to?
Yes.
How did you ask him not to?
I just told him, I don't.
Now, a newly discovered letter written from Eric Menendez to his cousin before the murders, talking about sex abuse from his father, which could be a key piece of evidence. Eric wrote, "I've been trying to avoid Dad. It's still happening." Many of their supporters are now calling for their convictions to be vacated. Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascon said that his office is considering requests to resentence the brothers. A court hearing will be held on November 29th.
More than a year and a half after Brian Walsh was charged with killing and dismembering his wife Anna, he's now trying to find out if the police who investigated him had an axe to grind. The lead investigator on Walsh's case was Massachusetts State Trooper Michael Proctor, who also investigated Karen Reed for the death of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, and who, while doing so, wrote insulting text messages about Reed.
So don't spell it. You have to. So these are your words, Trooper Proctor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
Yes, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. No ass.
In court documents, Walsh's attorney writes, quote, Proctor demonstrated bias against a person accused of murder. So now the defense wants to see if Proctor said anything similar about Walsh. They're demanding prosecutors turn over everything they have on Proctor, including his cell phone data, his internet account, and more than 3,000 pages from an ongoing federal investigation into the death of John O'Keefe. Walsh's attorney also says the recent arrest of a Stoughton police officer for the death of Sandra Birchmore also raises questions about possible misconduct. Prosecutors say they can't share everything Walsh wants because some of it might include sensitive information about ongoing investigations.
All right, so Brian Walsh is accused of murdering his beautiful wife, Anna Walsh, back in January of 2023. And investigators believe that he hid her remains as well, as her remains have never been discovered. Now, he's being held without any bail. Still no trial date set for him.